day in the pub, Seb and Verity were socialising with hilarity.
They knew there and then that their options were vast. They bought some equipment and made a podcast.
What do you think you are doing, you twits? It's cliched and obvious, you know.
If this doesn't work well, then we'll call it quits. But right now, just listen to our show.
It's called Three in a Bar.
We'll talk to musicians about their lives so far.
Three in a bar. We hope that you like it, okay?
Hooray! Hello!
Hello. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Three in a Bar. My name is Seb Philpott.
And my name is Verity Simmons. And this is Three in a Bar, as you said.
Yeah. That was just muscle memory kicking
Yeah,
in,
it was.
wasn't
It was. Very
this
formulaic. It has to be. Hey, who have we got, Seb?
yeah.
Who have we been to see this week?
This week we saw Ed Pascall.
Oh, yes, we did. I thought I heard his trumpet there as well.
The distant memory of his trumpet playing.
Yeah, because Ed is now a senior artist manager at Askonas Holt, which is like one of the biggest music representative. Is that what you'd call it? Or they represent musicians, orchestras,
Agents. For soloists and conductors and orchestras.
That's
as
right.
well.
They do.
They book tours for people. They book concerts.
That's right.
Yes, they do all kinds of stuff, looking after some of the most talented musicians there are. Now, we first came across him because we both independently applied to become one of those artists. We thought, why don't we become the next Nicola Benedetti?
Well, quite.
And he said, no, it's not really like that. We approach you, and you're both not good enough.
Yeah.
But I will do a podcast with you.
Yeah, which was kind of him.
Talking about it. Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't know why he didn't go for my Britney Spears medley. I thought it was an absolute winner.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, no, we're joking, aren't we? We know him from before that.
That's right.
And well, actually, I'd never met him. I don't think I'd ever met him before.
Really?
Because he used to be a trumpet player, and you were at Guildhall with him.
That's right. Yes.
Correct? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, tell us about that time.
Well, way back in the mists of time when we were at Guildhall. Yeah, I remember meeting Ed in my first year there. And then he had to suffer 4 long years with me. And then, yes. And then he went and did South Bank Symphonia. And actually, I did it the year after him. So I was sort of following same sort of path.
Yeah.
And then he decided, well, as he talks about during this podcast, that perhaps it wasn't for him anymore and moved into artist management. And it's really interesting hearing his route through it because he's now in this senior position at Askonas Holt. But along the way, he's done all kinds of things. And he was working for Chamber Orchestra of Europe for a good long while. Yeah, I like his stories about them. Very kind ops.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting to see another side of the industry. So not really the sort of performer's point of view, but really the management side.
Oh,
of things.
quite right.
And, a view into that kind of elite level of soloists and that sort of the kind of most famous people that we have in this industry.
Yeah, he was representing Bernard Haitink for a very long time.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't get much bigger than that, can you?
No, I don't think you can, really.
No. This
is actually the second time we met up with Ed. We did do it back in December.
Yeah.
And we met him near his place of work on sort of around Fetter Lane, sort of Chancery Lane, that kind of
that's right.
area, in a Wetherspoons, the Knights Templar.
Yeah. It seemed like such a good idea at the time, didn't it? It was very quiet when we first got in there, and then very quickly that changed.
Yeah, we got in there probably about 11:30 or something.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all the people came in for lunch and could not hear a thing on the recording. Also, one of our microphones broke. So,
well, it was a win.
Hear me at all.
It was a win all round.
Basically, it was a kind of blessing in disguise that we didn't use that recording, and we thought we'd meet up again.
That's right.
And all of that conversation was incredibly out of date anyway. It didn't really make any sense with the current climate.
I think Ed had a few reservations about putting that one out, just with how things are now, perhaps.
It just didn't make any sense.
No.
So anyway, we met up with him again. We chatted to him this week at his house, and it was a lovely chat. So let's go and speak to him now. This is Ed Pascall.
So now you're back, Ed. Are you back and in the office?
No, I'm doing 3 days a week, and it's all from home. They don't want anyone really to go into the office unless you sort of have to ask the HR manager and the finance manager, who also runs the office and the facilities, because it's not COVID secure. So you can go in if you need to do, some scanning or photocopying or something. But you're supposed to, you've got to wipe down your desk afterwards, make sure you wash up any cups or mugs, glasses you've used. But no, so I went in once about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Was it weird?
Yeah, it was really eerie, and there's about sackfuls and sackfuls of post just by the reception desk when you walk in.
Yeah. Is that like fan mail for your bigger clients? Or?
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. It's that. I mean, most of the post we get is either contracts or like industry magazines and orchestras and concert halls and opera houses sending out their brochures, their season like plans, and then letters from strange fans, people in other parts of the world asking people whom they think might have loads of money to support an orphanage or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Many of those people have moved to email, I think now. Those sort of letters, but they still exist in paper form.
Have you had some weird stuff sent in?
Yeah, there's when I used to work at IMG, there was a lady in South Africa who made kind of like spiders and flies out of wire and bits of glass and coloured glass and stuff. She used to send those to Exact Pearlman.
Oh, really?
Via IMG in London.
Had he ever expressed any kind of desire to own them, or
oh no, well, I didn't. He never even knew that they were sent. Like they were just.
You keep that from them, from the artists.
Well,
protect them from any potential anthrax or.
Yeah. We just that's part of the job. It's you've got to take anthrax for the team, really. It's like when it's you can tell when you get a piece of post without opening it really that it's going to be. It's
crazy,
something random and crazy.
Yeah.
Like what's
it'd be a weird conversation. You'd call them up, say, "Hey, what's his name? Adzak."
Exact Pearlman. Yeah.
I think you're mixing anthrax and Itzhak now.
They are very different. Yeah.
Yeah, quite.
We've got this package. It's just some spiders made out of glass and tinfoil. Do you want it? What's he going to say? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just easier just not to have that conversation, pretend it doesn't exist.
No, exactly. And actually, this was when I was this is like 12 or 13 years ago when I first started doing this, having stopped playing. And so I was very junior. I never even spoke to him. It was always through his PA in the US who used to travel with him and everything. So I never actually was in touch with him directly anyway. He probably didn't even know I existed. So
That's quite sad. That's quite sad. Do you listen to Schindler's List and feel more
nostalgic?
Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. Oh, he's the big man in the violin world, isn't he?
Oh yes. I mean, I don't know how much he plays so much anymore, but he's dead famous in the violin world for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be in your top 10, violin pin-ups if you were going to have such.
Yeah. For those that do that sort of thing, he
that Rob.
I'm sure he's there. It must be much different, I think, in Hollywood. With people who are actually famous as opposed to just being famous in our world. In classical music.
Well, the levels of crazy.
Yeah,
totally.
So that we maybe see in classical music, you maybe see the tiniest bit of that. There's the odd stalker kind of scare or something, weird stuff coming in the post, but that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're Charlize Theron or
Ryan Gosling just
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, came to mind.
He came to your mind.
Came to mind. Yeah, I'm sure they have trouble.
Probably getting all sorts of stuff through, isn't he? Gosling. Don't know what.
Well, aside from the stuff I've sent,
Yeah.
I've knitted some lovely flies and spiders.
You've been collecting stuff in the park to send to him.
Yeah, I have. It's lovely.
Fashioning into an insect.
Yeah, I'm inspired by that. But you might like concert regulars. I bet you get them as well who come along and like the fans. Like for Haitink, for example, he must have had.
Yeah, there are. Yes, actually, definitely, there are people who. There are faces actually you would see at concerts regularly. People, I mean, yeah, but people definitely have fans. We might have mentioned this the last time we spoke.
That doesn't exist.
Okay, yeah, that is.
We're not going to talk about that. But he, after his last prom, which was the summer of, just over a year ago, summer 2019,
Yeah.
there was a load of people hanging around outside just to say, lots of people wanted to have an autograph, but that we actually sort of walked out and said, actually, it's not going to happen. He just wants to get in the car, go home.
Yeah.
But lots of people, were saying, oh, thank you. I was at your Mahler 8 in 1982 with the Vienna Philharmonic that's the Salzburg Festival, and it was the best performance ever. And lots of people had these things to sort of that they were just sort of shouting out to him as he got into his car. So yeah, there's definitely there are fans, but there's no way, I suppose, anyone. That's probably about as close as you would ever get to being mobbed coming out of somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's about 35 people
Really
politely saying
Laura Ashley
things.
dresses. And...
Yeah. When you said no autographs, they went, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll put it away."
Well,
And,
oh, you cad.
yeah.
There's not some people that follow one artist all around the world. It's probably is there any of that, or probably not? Classical world.
Not that I'm massively aware of.
Real super fans.
Yeah, there must be some, but you'd have to have.
They're probably just very respectful. They don't even. The artist wouldn't even.
Yeah, that's true. The artist might not know. But because also you'd have to have money to do that as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd have to be.
Yeah.
Although it depends if you're going to go to everything that they do, but I suppose in the way when, for example, Coldplay or any major pop or rock band does a tour, it's their profile, and it gives them the ability to plan that tour in a very logical way. So they can go to America and spend 6 weeks or 8 weeks in America, starting on the East Coast and moving across to the West Coast, and then going home, having 2 weeks at home, and then going to South America and doing something similar or whatever. Whereas that it doesn't. It's mostly not really possible to do that particularly as a soloist.
Yeah.
In classical music, tours tend to be. The only real example is Australia and New Zealand, where you'd string together 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
With the different orchestras, maybe some recitals, but a recital tour in Europe will, for example, go all over the place, and you might be in Vienna one day and then Paris the next day, but then back to Budapest. It's not going to make. It doesn't tend. It's very difficult to make it make sense.
Yeah.
In a travel way.
Yeah.
And do you have to liaise with the artists in doing that? Is part of your remit?
Yeah.
To be planning that out for them.
Yeah. So for the artists, for solo artists, for violinists or pianists, then yes, we would. Part of the job is to, for example, looking ahead to the 21-22 season, for example, you would. They want to do a recital tour with their, a violinist wants to do a recital tour with their long-time pianist collaborator. We'll identify 2 or 3 weeks in March, for example, and then contact all of the chamber music societies, recital promoters, venues, let them know what's happening, and try and plug a tour together.
Yeah.
But that's why that there'll be, you might, Paris and Dijon, for example, which are quite close.
Yeah.
They're just not going to have availability on the days you want. So you're going to have to be flexible, and you might go to London, then to Paris, then back to Birmingham or something. It's it's quite a big job putting something like that together. Then when it actually comes to the tour, we would also facilitate, although it wouldn't be me myself doing it, but there's other people in the office then that we would enable any visas that needed to happen and book travel, book hotels.
Well, it's good you don't have to do that.
Yeah, it's
visas. That must be a whole other palaver, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's the one part of an engagement, whether it's a tour or just a standalone engagement in the US, for example, that is out of your control. Like you can apply for it when you're supposed to, but that doesn't mean you're going to get the visa in time. Whereas, if you've forgotten to book a hotel or if you've forgotten to book a flight, that's fixable because you can just spend money and you'll organise it, you'll sort it out. You're never going to get in that much bother.
Yeah.
Whereas a visa, there's really once someone's filled in the form and sent it off, that's it. There's nothing you can do. And if you're late doing that, you're in big trouble. But even once it's gone off, it's done. You can't influence it.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. So
have you had problems with this Verity visas?
I have.
Have you?
Did I tell you about this?
No.
Oh, I had a nightmare.
Did
you see the pain? Look.
Yeah, you were
my face dropped.
recounting a memory.
I was. I was supposed to go and play in Kazakhstan.
Oh. Clang.
I know. It was going to be the pinnacle. Yeah, I talk all about that. No, but I got asked to do it quite late on in the day, and I suddenly realised. Actually, I think the visa side of thing might be okay, but it was the passport thing. You have to have 3 months left, or 6 months maybe left on your passport to go and work there. And I only realised this maybe 4 days before I was supposed to be going. I think I only got booked to do it a week and a half, 2 weeks before. And I ended up, I couldn't get a last minute passport, but I went to the passport office and was told it would be fine. Got to Kensington, queued for absolutely hours with my suitcase because I would have been going straight to Heathrow.
So you were going to pick up the passport and then go to the visa and go to the airport.
Yeah. Nightmare.
Oh my God,
no, never happened.
horrible.
Didn't get to Kazakhstan. And my career obviously went
In
quite a different path. Yeah. It wasn't to be.
Yeah, you could have been massive in Kazakhstan.
I know.
Wasn't it?
Been married to Borat. Life could be very different.
Yeah.
Was it Norman Wisdom or someone who was huge in
Where was that?
Romania or some?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He absolutely massive in some old Soviet state, I think.
Wasn't there? Didn't Tony Hawks?
Are we talking
the
about
comedian?
I was thinking about the
I think he wrote a
skateboard.
book about it.
Oh yes,
I think
the guy who did.
He did Round Island with the Fridge.
Yeah, he's often on Radio 4, Just a Minute and things like that. Yeah,
I feel like I read a book when I was younger about hanging out with Norman Wisdom and going to that wherever that country
Bucharest
was,
or something.
somewhere Albania.
Albania.
Really?
Yes, I think it
Big
could
in
be
Albania.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think that's like a sort of what do you call it, a euphemism for being rubbish. Is that, they're big in Albania.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I could have been big in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Did you ever play for the? Did you ever go to India and do either Bombay Chamber Orchestra or National
No, I
Symphony?
did get asked
that,
to do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Of India.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I did it a few times as well. Yeah, this is a long time ago now. But the strings were mainly from Kazakhstan,
Yeah,
weren't
that's
they?
right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like the string section of the Kazakhstan National Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I did it once, and the trombone section were all Kazakhstan. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of them are still there, a lot of the same guys. I feel like they're not getting paid the same amount of money.
I
as the
think
British
that
people.
might have been a thing. Yeah.
I
quite
remember
possibly.
one rehearsal, we played Nimrod, and we'd all played it so many times, we know the piece of music. But this Kazakhstani trombone player, at the end of it, he was just like, that is the best thing I've ever heard. Oh. It was so sweet. Imagine playing that and hearing it and going, oh my God. Well, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
You like that, mate? You should land of hope and glory. You're not going to believe it.
Rule Britannia, especially with the words.
Yeah, even better with words.
But because sometimes I wonder that about music and different, especially music from different countries or even completely different styles of music. Where for us, Nimrod has a connection to where we're from, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
And it's hard to choose or hard to think or decide where does the music, is the emotion entirely in the music? Is it in a bit of both? So if he doesn't know anything about England particularly or Elgar, maybe never heard the piece before, but still it's incredibly moving.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because it comes in. Have you seen Dunkirk?
Yes.
The Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah, yeah.
And have you not? You haven't seen?
No,
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet, but
It's brilliant. You need to.
Yeah.
It's on
Good.
Netflix, I think.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So tonight. You can
yeah, exactly.
but all the way through, there's bits of Nimrod here and there, and you don't. And for a long time, you're not aware of it, but it's there, and then it comes in, and you're like, oh, I recognise that, but you're not quite sure why. And then it gradually builds. And it's only in the last sort of, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes where you actually can focus on it and hear it, and you realise what it is, and then it's very effective.
It's a really good
It
moment.
is.
Yeah.
It is an amazing piece. Actually,
Did you see that film twice? Like, did you notice Nimrod coming in earlier on, or was it after the fact when you watched it again? Maybe?
I have seen it twice, yes, and it did. I think I did clock it earlier.
Right,
yeah.
because I only saw it once, and I didn't notice it until just before when you start to go, is that Nimrod? And then it goes full Nimrod.
Yes. Full Nimrod.
But full 100% Nimrod. It's very good. But I imagine that watching that film again, you'd notice that kind of stuff, knowing what's coming.
I think
It's so good.
I think I did because I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
No, I saw it on a plane, I think, and blubbed at the end. But obviously that was the altitude. And then
I get that.
it's a real thing. I'm
It
told.
is, yeah.
And then watched it with my eldest earlier on in the summer, and because I knew it was going to be, I think I was listening out for it more, and so did notice it earlier.
Yeah.
But it's there was a program on Radio 3 not long ago in the car, and it was about the music. It was Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer and all of the films that they have done together. It goes back to Batman and Inception and Interstellar, and how they have worked together to marrying the two art forms to make something special. And but in Dunkirk it's very effective.
Really effective. What's the name of the effects they have the whole way through that film?
But do you mean in the music?
In the music.
Yeah, there's something called,
What's it called?
I don't know what the actual term is, but it's rising. It's a rising tone.
Shepherd tone, it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
a
The
shepherd.
shepherd tone. And so basically you've got, say it's a big cluster of chords,
Yeah.
right? And everyone's sort of going up the scale. And as you get higher, the higher notes fade out.
But then
And then-
rejoin in the bottom.
But then, you get more of the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like an Escher painting. So it's always going up the step. You never hear any downward feeling at all. So you kind of
it's like
start
rising
the film.
tension. Is
Yeah.
this?
Yes,
Yeah.
Start the film here, and then by the end, by that point, like hour and a half in, it's just incredible tension.
Yeah.
And
that's clever,
The thing,
isn't it?
I haven't seen Tenet yet. The new.
No, neither have I.
nor
Yeah.
have I.
But I mean, Christopher Nolan, his films are always about time and like the sort of malleability of time and
Playing with time.
and
yeah.
like Inception is like that. Your dreams within the dreams, and each
Yeah.
one's takes longer to happen. So
Yeah.
the music reflects that. And then with Dunkirk, it tells the same. It tells three perspectives of Dunkirk. Is it
Yeah.
3 hours.
It's an hour a day and a
week,
maybe. Yeah.
And so the music reflects that as well.
Oh wow.
And they've got such a great relationship.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan.
It's
Really
very cool. That and Shepherd tone. Yeah, so it never gets to where it's going. But it's always getting higher, which you'd think is going to be impossible. But
It's so hard,
because
especially over that time
because it's
frame.
going back round again to the
Yeah.
bottom,
God, that's really clever. I'm going to go and watch it. I'm going to be so hyper aware of the music now. Oh yeah.
And maybe
one of those ones. I did this with Interstellar. I watched it on telly, but with headphones on.
Yeah.
That I'd recommend that for Dunkirk because just the sound design of it is really worth having fully immersive.
God, that's
experience.
brilliant. Right,
Yeah.
will do.
Yeah.
Will do. So Ed, you were saying about playing just then when you were out in India. Did you miss it when you stopped? Trumpeter, by the way.
Yeah, trumpeting. No, I've never missed actually holding a trumpet and playing it
Right.
at all. I stopped playing as a job in 2008.
Yeah.
There's been maybe a handful of things I've done since where people have paid me to play the trumpet. But they've got terrible value for money there. They were probably getting terrible value for money back in like 15 years ago as well. But no, so holding a trumpet and playing it, I actually have never missed. But I do miss the kind of like that sort of camaraderie and seeing your mates at work very often.
Yeah.
And I, when I was doing it, we were all, certainly none of us had any kids. We might not have all been single, but it was sort of different. So it would be you'd go and you'd do a Verdi Requiem and it'd be best to be off stage because then you're done at 20 to 8 and you can go and have 6 pints, and that was a day at work. And that would be different now.
Now you have to wait till Friday afternoon to
now
do
you
that.
have to wait till
That would never happen now anymore.
No,
Of course it doesn't. That's true.
It's very different now, indeed, of course. And but yeah, so I sort of miss that, and I miss I miss thinking that, once, you played, for example, here, and you did this, special gigs that were special, things that you thought were really good, and you won't get to do that again. But no, I don't.
But I mean, in a different way, you're now experiencing all those things from the other side. And I guess that must be really helpful with clients, isn't it? That they must respect the fact that you are a musician, and that must be so helpful.
Yeah, I
to
think
build a relationship.
Yeah, I think yes, being an ex-musician, I'm totally sure helps.
Yeah,
particularly with managing conductors, that you can talk about repertoire. But there are, and there are lots of people in in arts administration, the administration of music, who have been either ex-professionals or very, very good when they were kids, or still are very keen amateurs and stuff. So they can all do that too. So I suppose just because you played, it doesn't mean you're going to be better at talking about symphonies with a conductor or something. But it probably does give a handle on some of the lifestyle things they might be dealing with, travel and being away from home, maybe some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there might be a subconscious level of trust anyway, that just because they know that
Yeah,
like you do if somebody's had a shared experience, you sort of go, things can be left unsaid maybe. You don't have to spell out the obvious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so.
I was wondering, because there might be people listening to this. I hope there are.
There might be.
Yeah,
but who possibly at this point in their lives, in the year we're having, they might be thinking about starting a different career or going to something slightly different.
Yeah.
And I just wondered what it was like for you. Like, how did you get started doing it when you were working as a trumpet player, but then you sort of decided to go down a side route, and then how did that work out?
So I'd been playing trumpet I'd left Guildhall for about 7 years or so. I'd been out of Guildhall for about 7 years, and actually my first year out of Guildhall I was in the first iteration of South Bank Symphonia.
That is quite something. First iteration.
So
what are they on like now?
2001 or 2002, I think.
Year before me.
It's the year before you, yeah. They're like on SBS.
2003.
They must be on SBS 20, I suppose, by now.
Yeah.
19,
wow.
I think so.
And it was, so it's the first year, so it was fantastic. It was everything was very new, but we had a very generous, non-taxable bursary, and there was enough time to do some teaching as well and other gigs. And I thought, if this is what being a trumpet player is all about, this is great.
I'm in.
You know, I'm in because it was brilliant. That summer I went on holiday to Barbados with some friends. I bought a new E-flat trumpet. I put some money together to buy my first flat.
Great.
So it was great.
Amazing.
Then it, you know, that year finished and it's sort of things, you know, it was a lot different. But, you know, over sort of 6 or 7 years, I sort of felt, I suppose, at the end of, I was getting to a point where it was sort of going quite well. But I was thinking that, you know, when it's good, it's very good. But when it's bad, it's a bit worrying. And, you know, there's not always going to necessarily be work out there. I sort of felt that I didn't love teaching. And so I'd sort of been, for a year, 18 months, I've sort of been looking around for other things to do. And I bumped into a friend of mine who had been at Guildhall as a horn player and now actually works in the same job. He's at Askonas Holt with me now. And we bumped into each other at someone's birthday in a pub. He had stopped playing the horn maybe 9 months, 12 months before. And I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm at IMG Artists. It's a management company. I'm there as an assistant. I did an internship. If you're interested, why don't you come and do an interview for an internship and see what happens?" So I thought, yeah, great. I did that. Did the interview, did the internship, and they were pretty generous. I was, instead of doing 5 days a week, I was allowed to just do 3 days a week, so I could still earn, because it wasn't paid. Mm-hmm. So I could still earn money either playing the trumpet and teaching. And then at the end of that 3-month internship, luckily, someone in the assistant position had just left, so they offered. They asked for applications for that job, which I interviewed for and got. So that was in like April or May 2008, and then sort of since then, I've stayed doing that, and gradually the trumpet fell away. There was still a bit of work I was doing here and there, but it sort of gradually stopped.
Yeah.
But I think if this friend of mine had been, if he'd been doing an internship, if he'd been working, for example, at the Opera House or for the LPO, I'd have probably followed into that. You know, I didn't choose to do a job as an agent. It's just that was what was open, and that was sort of what was available. And it was
such a good job. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm actually a stripper now."
Yeah, yeah.
Quite a lot.
The hours are perfect.
It's really good.
Cash.
Come and do an internship.
Cash in hand.
Yeah, it's fine.
Wherever they put it.
So it just sort of flowed, really. It was path of least resistance in a way, I suppose. I was lucky in that I was able to earn money whilst doing the internship.
Yeah. And do these internships, are they still something that are going on at the moment?
Well,
maybe not specifically
nowadays,
this moment.
Yeah, this is it's the beginning of September, isn't it? So
it is, yeah.
We're in Corona times, obviously. So I think most companies in the arts have offered internships probably for a long time, and specifically now it's probably going to be something that companies aren't doing so much. Maybe you're not allowed to bring in interns to do work that you would normally pay people to do. So you can't use an intern as free labour. That's completely not allowed.
Yeah,
so
that seems fair enough.
So the thought of people using interns to sort of people thinking maybe internships would be more likely now is not going to be the case.
No.
But maybe it is maybe going to be slightly trickier now, because also I think the thing is now is people aren't in offices. So, the main thing about if you were to be an intern is you're there surrounded by everyone who's doing a job that you are interested in learning about and doing potentially one day in the future. With everyone working at home, I just don't see actually how that can really work,
Well, fingers crossed,
Yeah.
next year you might be.
Yeah. I think it could, in many businesses, but it is, an internship is the way into it. You're unlikely to get interviews for a real job, an actual job, unless you have done an internship beforehand.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is making teas, is it? And just seeing the nature of it all. No teas. No, I get that wrong.
I think no. It's I think if you are going to run if you're at a company and you're going to run a reputable internship program, then you probably want to make sure that you're offering, you're allowing someone to learn all the different aspects of the business. So in our company, for example, we've got it's the core part of the business is artist management, so client management, so placing conductors and soloists and singers with opera companies, orchestras, festivals, recitals.
Yeah.
And then we do we have a big orchestral touring department as well. So if people would come in and intern normally in either the conductors and instrumentalist bit, the vocal bit, or the touring bit. But yeah, you'd want to offer them some proper training so they feel that they've learned something. Yeah. I think that friend of mine in banking did get an email once from a very new joiner. This is not even an intern, actually. It's like just joining in the lowest rung position. And on a Friday, lunchtime, saying, well, as you know, I'm starting on Monday. Is there anything I can do to think about over the weekend to prepare? And the email came back. It said, John, milk, 2 sugars. Henry, just black. Dave, milk, no sugars.
Here's the colour chart.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
I'd like to think you had maybe a flashcard system when you got in with the face of the conductor or the instrumentalist. You have to work out their name.
Yeah.
Quick name.
Well, actually, that is quite a good. We have done that in the past. In like,
great
there we are.
As like pub quiz sort of. If you've done a company bonding pub quiz, and you show them a picture of. So say you work in, for example, the conductors and instrumentalist department.
Yeah.
Show them a picture of one of the singers.
Yeah.
Not the massive big name ones that everyone might know. So who is this? What do they do? And it's not always.
No.
There's many faces that you aren't going to recognise, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me 2 points about
game.
that person.
Right.
I should do it's like football stickers, but for classical musicians.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
And those Panini.
Panini. Yeah. I think
Panini stickers.
I imagine their market is going to be substantially less.
Quite
than
niche.
The,
Look, I've got all of the Berlin Phil now.
We've got a nice Simon Rattle shiny.
Priceless.
That's rare. That one's really
that
rare.
is.
You'd have to go to like a swap shop on the South Bank.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. £100.
Yeah.
My
Simon
kids
Rattle
still do-
shiny.
I mean, it still exists now. In the
The Paninis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they do swap them and take them into school. And there's another one.
Do they like Pokemon cards as well? That's the thing
I
in
don't
our
know.
house. Yeah.
Match Attack, is that one?
Match Attacks. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're not stickers, are they like cards?
No, they're just cards. Yeah. But I don't think they're in this room here, but I think we
They
got
got
rid of them. We
loads.
think we threw them away. But there was just folders and folders of that stuff.
I got in really bad trouble when I was little because me and my friends stole our next door neighbour, Adrian Webb's sticker album, and we ripped a page of it. And I still feel bad about it to this day from his Panini album. And he got everyone on that page.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's awful.
yeah.
I'm sure he's not listening.
He's probably
100%
thinking of,
certain, but, I'm really sorry.
if he is, he's just been thrown back into what might have been one of the worst moments of his life. Verity.
No one tell him where I live. Okay.
My mate Carl Woodcroft, I don't know if you know him, tuba player. We did a gig a while ago, and he brought in his, I think it was 97 to 98 Merlin Premier League sticker album, and it was completed.
No.
It was perfect. So, and I collected that year, and it just brought back so many memories. I just remembered all the faces of all the players.
Yeah.
It was just, I remember you get to know those pictures so well.
Exactly.
97 to 98.
I think it's 97. Maybe it was a little bit earlier. I had like Steve Bruce was in it
Yeah.
in Man
Gaza?
United.
Is it Gaza time? No, he was before, wasn't he?
He'd probably gone. Was he gone?
Shearer?
To Europe?
No,
Sheringham,
well,
Shearer?
because that was my first year at Guildhall, 97 to 98.
okay.
Yeah.
Because then it was the World Cup in 98 in France.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gaza wasn't playing in that, was he? But because he'd been in Euro 96, which
he
was
did,
only
didn't he?
2 years
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I feel like he went to Lazio or something like
Yeah,
that.
he did.
Yeah.
Did he?
Didn't he
Yeah,
go
but
to
two of
China, though, as well? And he had a
Right.
terrible time there.
Yeah.
Very lonely and homesick.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Gaza.
Yeah.
Hey, Seb here. Just a quick fact check. I just checked with my friend Carl, and the album was 94 to 95. I was well out, not 97 to 98, and it did have Steve Bruce in it. That I remember. Paul Gascoigne. Now, I'll just give you a quick rundown of where he worked. So, 1988, Tottenham Hotspur. 1992, Lazio. 1995, Rangers. 1998, Middlesbrough. 2000, Everton. 2002, Burnley. 2003, Gansu Tianma. And 2004, Boston United. There you go. Good luck to you, Gazza, if you're listening. Simon Rattle. Do you deal with Simon Rattle?
He's at our company, but I don't work for him directly. No.
I don't know. I feel like just some of these big stars could have helped out a bit more with this whole situation.
Yeah.
He's sort of said the wrong things recently, hasn't he?
Well, I think it's when lockdown sort of first kicked in, so sort of mid-late March.
Yeah.
It was interesting at work actually because you could. So in January, I went on a couple of trips. Went to New York with the friend I was met. I'm going to name check him, Terry Shu. So the guy who'd actually, I ended up, got me into this work. We went to New York for a conference in early January. I did another couple of trips. I did a trip at the end of February to Zurich to see a young soloist, and I was supposed to be going back to New York again in March to see one of the conductors I manage, who was going to be conducting the New York Phil. And during sort of January, no one really wasn't really talking about it, I don't think. February, it sort of started, people were talking about this virus and some things were happening, but it felt like it was the other side of the world and we weren't going to be bothered by it. By the end of February, it was clear that actually there was a lot more going on. And then in early March, that's when sort of, lots of things, we were, in our company anyway, we were starting to be directly affected by lots of things being cancelled. This trip in what was maybe the first or second week in March, and one of the directors, 2 days before I was going to go, one of the directors asked me how much we'd already spent, how much I had already spent on the trip, and what would be saved if I didn't go. And actually, we would get the hotel back. We lost the flight cost, but the hotel was cancelable still. And obviously, I wouldn't be spending any money when I was there. So I was asked to cancel that trip. And that's, I suppose, personally, that's when I was like, actually, this could be quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And then the following week, 10 days, was sort of everything kind of just crumbled and stopped. Yeah. And as a company, for us, because our income is from two sources. It's from commissions from artists working. So when a conductor or a singer or an instrumentalist does a gig, we charge a commission on their fee. And when an orchestra does a tour, for example, the New York Phil to China, we either charge a fee or we charge commissions on the concerts they're doing. So if no one's performing, the company isn't earning any money. So so it was, it's very serious very quickly in terms of income into the company because so many things were stopping. And then schools stopped, people were furloughed from work, everything really completely stopped, but everyone was locked down, everyone was in their houses. And that's, once the initial thing, I think the initial thing in the news, rightly so, is all about people's health and welfare and well-being. But once that had sort of passed down, then the other conversations started coming along about, well, what's going to happen with live sport? What's going to happen with the arts, theatres, cinemas, concerts? What's going to happen with the travel industry? All these things started being, asking questions about that. And I felt that at that stage, the theatre business seemed to be a lot better at getting itself together and having a sort of a unified or sort of coherent and voice, talking about what their difficulties were, why they were suffering, what they needed for help, how things were going to, what they could see in the future, what they needed the government to do, both in terms of support financially, but also in terms of actual some a timeline and a plan to get out of it. And so people like Sam Mendes were often on the news or Newsnight writing articles in the Guardian, and it seemed to be a lot more sort of cohesive the way they were portraying their problems. And I felt that the music industry, not just classical music, but all of the music industry, was way behind that. I felt it really needed for music, that music sort of came along a bit after, and I wonder whether that's mostly because, although for us it's kind of our world, it's sort of everything we do, but for most of the country, classical music particularly features barely. It's a very, very small part, and obviously theatre and cinema is much more important to many, many more people.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that was there first, and then the music industry sort of comes along. I did think it was interesting that on the sort of the main kind of panel that for the arts that reported into the Culture Secretary and the DCMS, you had apparently 8 people on this panel, and there was no representative of the music industry. The closest person was the chief executive of English National Ballet.
Right.
But there was no one from even the rock and pop side of the music business. I thought there should have been someone there like I don't know, the head of a major label, or Emily Evis from Michael Evis from Glastonbury, or the person who runs the O2 or Manchester Arena, or something like that. I'm not sort of thinking like poor old us in classical music. Why wasn't the head of the LSO there or whatever? But yeah, no one from the music industry at all. But more recently, then music sort of talks and came up, and I think people like Simon Rattle did their thing and spoke a lot. But I think the thing is that although to us he's very famous, he's not a household name, and I'm not sure really in classical music if there really is such a thing in this country as if there's a real actual household name in classical music. It might be someone like Catherine Jenkins,
Sheku Canna-Mason.
Maybe Sheku. Nigel Kennedy, Nicola Benedetti, but that's it's certainly less than 5 people, and that I think has been the thing that's affected the music industry the most. Is that it's certainly the classical music industry it's just not part of most people's worlds. But
not in a conscious way.
Not in a conscious way.
That's the thing, because I think it does. In fact, it affects so many people so much more than everyone realises. And I think it's only when it's not there that people will realise that. And that's a really sad thing. And you sort of hope that people get in there a bit earlier to really push the corner for music.
That's the thing. I think like music is everywhere. It's in everything that you watch.
We were talking about films.
And,
exactly that.
And in people sing karaoke, like that's a huge thing, and it's on TV. It's in the theme tune to any TV program you watch, including the news, and it's in lifts. Even someone's got to, even if it's a lift music, someone's written it.
It's got bad PR, isn't it? Just the arts. People hear that word and think it's elitist. And
roll their eyes.
But I think it's sort of. But I think then what I was sort of saying is to Verity earlier is like actually now. It seems like the music business, certainly the bit that we pay most attention to anyway, the classical music industry, seems to be a bit further ahead than the theatre world, certainly further ahead than the West End, in terms of actually getting stuff back together and happening again. The LSO, the LPO, BBC orchestras, obviously with the proms, even small orchestras, the English Chamber Orchestra, Academy of Ancient Music, they're all doing things. Whereas in the theatre, if you look at the National Theatre, for example, they're still saying they're shut until the end of the year. The Royal Shakespeare Company says it's shut until like March or something. Whereas things do start seeming to be happening now.
And I think that's to do with funding, where the money comes from, with the funding of these orchestras, and to do with how much they have to fill. Because I think, like with the West End, we were talking about it earlier about the seating. You have to have, is it something like 80 or 90% capacity to make enough money to make it?
It varies from place to place.
Some as much as 95%.
So I think the Royal Albert Hall has to be about that.
Exactly.
For most performances.
I think that's the problem for those.
Well, like you were saying, theatres in the West End are crap. It's very they're old and the seats are very, very close together, so that's obviously a risk. The Barbican certainly and the Festival Hall are a bit more sort of spaced out. I suppose the shows in the West End are purely commercial. There's no subsidy or funding there, whereas with the orchestras there is some.
Yeah.
Like when you look around Europe, though, it's they've been even better at getting things back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So looking to 21-22 seasons, what are you doing? Are you booking up and getting things going?
It's way behind where you would normally expect to be. Like at this point, in the autumn you would expect in the autumn of the 2021 season, you would expect the 21-22 season to be sort of tying up the loose ends. Really.
Yeah.
Between now and Christmas is when actually quite a lot of stuff goes on, but it's mostly sort of done. It's filling in a few gaps and things like that. Maybe it does depend, of course, for the level, the profile of artist you're talking about. The bigger, the more famous you are, essentially, the earlier you will book up. But I think most people are experiencing that things are much further behind, happening much later than you would expect it to, and that's because most places, they had a huge period from, late February through to the summer where everything cancelled, and so they've either been putting things into the end of 21 or the beginning of the 21-22 season. We're sort of behind, very behind, but then it does seem like most people are, by and large, cracking on with planning those seasons.
Good.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Lots of Europe is already back and playing. The Salzburg Festival, for example, this summer, pretty much, made quite a lot of changes, but it, in many respects, ran as it normally would have done. They're in a good position, I suppose, in that they have they have a lot of money, and they sort of ran it a little bit like they have done with sport, particularly with the cricket, where it sort of happened in its own bio bubble.
Yeah.
And people were tested a lot, and it was very, you had to be in certain groups. They didn't want people coming in and out, so that was a big help. That was made it happen. But yeah, I think, it's the problem is no one really knows what's going to happen. So you've got things that you think might be happening even between now and Christmas, but then they might not, depending on what happens with how, whether the virus comes back or not, and in what way and where.
Yeah.
The big thing for the company I work for is that orchestral touring and any company that does this, and also the orchestras themselves, is I think that's going to be something that's going to be a huge challenge in the future.
To get full orchestras on the move again.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that Simon Rattle said. He was saying you're not going to be able to tour orchestras around the world anymore, which that's a really bad thing to say, I think, because that's how a lot of these orchestras survive. He lives in Germany.
Yeah.
And he tours to London.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And is that true? I mean, surely not forever.
Well, I don't know. I mean, some of the stuff you sit here and read, and it's like, well, actually, forget going back to what it was like. That's not going to happen. And that's like not just in music. That's like our whole lives. We are going to be living with this for a very long time to come. That's like the real sort of pessimistic view. I don't know if I totally subscribe to that, but surely it's going to be, I think, for example, touring the New York field to China is a huge operation. Involves, well over 100 people, and lots of money to make it happen. It is often how orchestras actually make money. But yeah, and it's a huge operation, and I can imagine the safety and also the politics of it now, touring a big orchestra to the other side of the world, doing lots of concerts, traveling about. That's going to be a difficult thing to sell. Also the people, the presenters paying for it in the country that you're visiting. Probably have got other things that aren't going to have the spare cash to do it as well. And there's also maybe a positive, because something that many people have been considering, I suppose, over the last few years as well, is like, is that actually, in terms of the environment, that a good thing to be doing anyway? Should we be taking 110 musicians from London and taking them to Australia?
Yeah.
Or should we be taking, from Berlin and going to the US? Like, and there's got to be ways to people trying to reduce their carbon footprint. So, that's, maybe it's a good, a new way of doing those things is something to consider. Going to amazing places, is absolutely a huge part, a big part of the job. It's, it's not only is it fun, but it's interesting. You're meeting people, you're seeing your artists do the thing that you are representing them to do. The reason you do the job is because it enables them to do what they're best at. So you want to see them do it. You get to meet someone that you might have had a relationship with via email or phone for 4 years, talking about, artists, and then you meet them and you see the concert, you maybe go for a drink, it's, as a father of 4 people, it's 4 young people. It's quite nice maybe having a few nights away as well. And totally. I don't know when I will next do a work trip. Whereas before it was maybe 2-3 times a month.
Hey, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here, right? But I want to know about how you woo your clients. I'm intrigued. Like, do you have a list of people and think, right, these are the hit list, this is who I want, or do they come to you?
It varies. Askonas Holt has a good reputation, so I think there's a lot of artists who do come to us with, in terms of sort of wooing people. It's not really a I don't think it's a dark art. I think you you want to be able to, I think the key things for an agent, is to the skills one needs are to be, different things for different people. So people want you to you need to be able to talk. I'm doing a very poor job of displaying my own talents, but you need to be able to talk effectively with people at very different levels, both in terms of different profiles, whether they're the artists themselves or the administrators that you are talking to. So you could be talking one day, or even in the same day, you could be talking to the chief, the head of La Scala or of the Vienna, the Musikverein. And later on that same day, talking to, a production assistant from a small independent record label. You've always got to be representing your artist's needs. So you need to be able to work out how you're going to have conversations with people diplomatically, politely, effectively, but, getting what you want. And I think if you're talking to a new artist or a potential new artist, being able to describe how you would do that for them, or, maybe not actually in words, but they can see it in the way that you behave with them. They're going to maybe get a taste of how you would be when you come to represent them in real life. I think, being interested or asking questions is always good. And
do you always know a few interesting facts about them that they might not know? No.
Well, I think you ought to have done your homework if you're meeting someone for the first time and know what it is that they do, where they have been, if they're a conductor, where they have been, what other jobs they might have had before, as in chief, they might now be the music director of one of the orchestras in Berlin, for example, but you're going to want to know what they did before.
I was thinking like niche facts, actually,
like, do they dye their hair or something like that?
Quite. I don't know, something.
Any food intolerances?
Quite.
Vegan diets and things. I don't know. Well, that gives you something that I suppose that is more
Stalkerish.
if you knew that. But that would be the sort of thing you would save a conversation like that, I think, for the dinner after a concert where you maybe trying to not talk about shop so much and you want to talk about other stuff and you want to try and make sure that you find things that you have in common with each other together, or I don't think it's not rocket science. I think if you've got any sort of self-awareness and emotional intelligence, which is probably key, then that's what you need to be able to display that.
Yeah.
It's a bit like hosting a podcast, really, isn't it?
Very much.
Yeah.
Give them a compliment.
What to say next?
Throw something at them,
Give them a gift.
I remember an artist once saying to me, actually, one of the main things he appreciated or wanted in a manager, he wasn't talking about me specifically at all, he was talking about all management, all agents that he had, is he wanted, he used his manager often to be the person, to be the person between him and his employer.
Yeah.
Whichever orchestra or opera house it is at the time, whoever for that particular week or that month is paying him, it's the person who's going to have the difficult conversations. Either they can't come to that rehearsal on that particular day, or they're going to be late for this one, or saying no to that.
Yeah,
great.
And having the financial conversations as well. It's the person that they can rely upon to be the buffer.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of, attack dog.
Yeah.
The canary down
Is it
the line.
Is it in Tropic Thunder where there's Matthew McConaughey plays someone's agent, and it's Ben Stiller's agent,
right?
Isn't he?
Isn't it? Oh no, I was thinking of Tom Cruise with the massive hands in that.
So Tom Cruise plays like some big producer type person, and Ben Stiller's agent is Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yes.
And it's about his Xbox didn't arrive or something like that. And
Right, I haven't seen it since the cinema, but
he goes Matthew McConaughey goes full on attack dog.
Yeah.
It's not like that in classical music.
It's a shame.
I'm thinking of touring bands with a good tour manager. I mean, you need them. Sometimes there's stress levels are high backstage at a festival. Or something.
Yeah,
you need someone just to shout, just to get in a sort of porter cabin,
get it done.
Yeah,
I think I mean, I suppose the other thing is you can sometimes you might need to be an emotional sponge for someone, if they're stressed out or upset about something. You just sort of absorb that,
Yeah.
But I would have loved to have been have you seen? I can't remember. Is it just called Queen? Like the most recent Queen movie? With
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. And Tom Hollander plays their manager,
Right.
Like
I've not
later
seen
on, he's a lawyer originally, and then he becomes their manager. So at Live Aid, for example, he's there backstage and stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to have been a manager for a big band in the 60s or 70s, 80s. I mean, it'd been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they were basically part of the band, weren't they?
Yeah. And you would, I think,
the lifestyle completely.
Yeah, you almost probably went pretty much everywhere with them. And it was. You've got probably all the a lot of the benefits, but none of the fame.
Yeah.
It would have been quite a cool
good
thing
times
to do.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think. I mean, obviously in movies it's glamorized, isn't it? But still, it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that's in the classical world that just represents themselves? Any big names?
There's a few people whose partners kind of do it.
Okay.
Wife or husband or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. There's no one. There's a couple of artists who might have what's called a secretariat, the sort of German word secretary, basically, and sometimes that might be their wife, sometimes it might just be
just a different
friend.
email address.
Yeah, or it's just a different email address. Yeah, but I don't know of anyone who completely represents themselves, as in they actually do it as well as doing the conducting or the
That'd
playing.
be a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's Like,
I think it's too much to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the idea is that you turn up and you just play Beethoven as well as you can.
yeah. Well, I think I mean that's totally why agents exist.
Yeah.
Is to be that buffer, but also to take all of that stuff, all the admin, off your desk, off your pile, so that you can just focus on what it is that you do best, whether you're an actor or a musician or a sportsman, you know.
So does that mean then that some of these ones who've been in the industry since they were quite young and have always had this, I mean, what if they can look after themselves anymore?
Yeah, well,
they can book a hotel or
well,
cook
that's
a meal.
weird though, isn't it? Because it's like musos that you do. When you go on tour. So having worked in a previous job for a chamber orchestra of Europe, and it's you've got adults who have children who may be possibly 25 years older than you are, not the children, that they themselves, but it's like the minute they get on tour, the minute they set foot on that coach or train or plane or in the airport, whatever, they instantly lose any sort of self-responsibility or anything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
that's the best bit about going on tour.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have to think
Suddenly, I don't have to think about a thing, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Just get to standstill and then you're done.
Yeah.
Just switch it off.
Well, hey.
So I think, when it comes to work, like, yes, there's loads of people who like, no, I'm not booking a hotel. No, I can't possibly book a train. If that flight if I miss my plane, it's someone else's job to work
sort it out.
Yeah. Whereas if they did that in their downtime, in their private life, then of course they can sort it. Of course they know what to do. They're adults, they're grown-ups. But, when I suppose with an agent, it's like, well, what do I pay them my commission for? This is part of what you do, which is right and fair enough. But it's interesting. Do
you get any ludicrous requests?
No, I haven't. No, I've never had any ludicrous requests. You hear like stories, obviously. I think it's interesting. For example, sometimes where you've as an orchestra, for example, you might have just arrived at a concert hall that no one's ever been to before. It's brand new for maybe, I don't know, maybe 43 out of 45 of the people on the tour, in staff and management included. And you've all arrived there at the same time, and you're busy, like, helping the guys get the timps off the truck or something, or getting the music out of the box to put on the stands, making sure the stage is set up, and a viola player, for instance, might come and ask you where the toilets are. Like, well, hang on a minute. I know as much as you do.
It's so easy to get into that state of mind when you're on tour, though. There's a thing where I used to just keep asking the tour manager every day, where are the towels? Where are the towels? It's like, I don't fucking know where the towels are. I just setting up the stage. Work out yourself. Read Tour what's it called? Tour Master? The app,
yeah, of course.
Master Tour.
Is that an app?
Yeah.
Is that where it's like it will tell you where the best curry house is nearest the stage door?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly for, it's like day sheets, but on an app.
They can just use it.
So you might have extra stuff local, depending on the tour manager.
Oh, okay. So it's something that orchestras or people, bookers might use to send your schedule would be on there.
Yeah. I've not done many orchestral tours, but with bands and, I don't know, smaller groups and things, that it gets used quite a lot now.
Okay.
So it basically means you never ask anyone any questions. It's always on.
It's there. Yeah.
But tour managers must just constantly be going, just check Master Tour. It's fine.
Yeah.
What's the Wi-Fi code? It's on Master Tour. It's all there.
Well, because I think maybe we in the classical world are a bit in the past still, but the itineraries, the schedules we send out to either our soloists or conductors, but also the ones that the people do in the touring department for the orchestras going on tour. It's all like, it's a printed little booklet.
In a booklet.
And
lovely.
It's there, and it's lovely. The tour ones.
You like that?
The orchestral tour ones are nice because they bind them and everything.
Yeah, nice cover.
Nice cover, and maps and things like that.
Oh yeah. That's good.
Facts of the day,
Wi-Fi codes. Yeah. it's good. Maybe you could have a little joke in there, bottom of a page now and again. Sudoku at the back.
That's nice. Yeah. I'd like to know what the climate is and what I'm expecting weather-wise.
Yes.
Yeah.
The current. You need to know. You might need to know the current
Currency.
exchange rate.
Yeah. Quite exactly.
Very important to know how much your bottle of water is costing you.
What sort of street crime there is.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
It's good to know.
Just saying, like, you are in Holland. This is where you are. Sometimes people might wake up and go, I don't know what they are. Might even say to the audience the wrong
place.
wrong place.
Yeah.
I guess for most of your players, they're probably not talking to the audience quite a lot of the time. It's probably not a lot of that. But that
No,
does
it's
happen
not,
in,
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
evening,
Divas.
Stockholm.
Yeah. Boo.
Bosh.
Cardiff. You idiot.
I did think you were going to say Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as glamorous as it's ever going to get now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Thanks, Ed.
brilliant. Oh, always great to chat to Ed.
Excellent.
I like the depth that he went into when we were talking about Dunkirk. It was great. Well, all of us. But now I feel like I should go and see it. I meant to straight after we were chatting. It
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
really interesting. Very good. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great film, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Put it on, get the biggest telly you can find
And some
yeah,
headphones.
stick those headphones on.
Yeah.
I want to see it again. I've not seen it since the cinema. I saw it in the IMAX,
Oh, wow.
which is
That is like
hell of
the
an experience.
biggest screen you could possibly sit on. Very good.
Yeah. But it was, I remember getting to the end of that film and just like, oh my God, that is tense.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
try and recreate that in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So it was great hearing things from Ed's point of view. I actually I thought I might feel a bit depressed when he was talking about the future and next year, but actually it sounds like things are happening. There are little shoots, aren't there, for 21, 22? Well, certainly for his big shots anyway.
Yeah, there seem to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think more stuff's happening in Europe, isn't
Yeah.
it? They've got some concerts going on there. So
Yeah.
I guess they can try and plan for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, I watched the last night of the proms last night.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah,
I saw
which
some clips.
I guess I don't usually watch that because it's, well, hopefully usually working on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so watched that. It was good to watch.
Yeah.
It was kind of, some of it seems kind of absolutely mad without an audience there. Like
Yeah.
what's the hornpipe thing?
Oh, the sailor's hornpipe. Yeah.
When you've got no audience there, it's just like it's like an orchestra, and even just like it's like the venue just like went mad. It was like because it had all lights on the outside and just getting faster and faster, flashing lights. It was just a big car alarm going off, just having an absolutely mental breakdown.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I think the Albert Hall probably is having.
Yeah, exactly. A huge breakdown, or like CBeebies on heat.
Yeah, it was like that. But quite entertaining,
And Nicola Benedetto
And the orchestra sounded amazing, actually.
Ah, did they?
They sounded incredible.
Yeah.
With such big distancing between all the players.
Yeah.
They sounded so tight and excellent.
Oh,
They were
that's
really good.
great.
And yeah, Nicola Benedetti was.
She was doing Larkus
brilliant.
Ending, wasn't she? I saw some clips of that.
Yeah.
That sounded beautiful.
That's long, isn't it? That song.
That's what, sorry?
That's it's long, isn't it?
That
one?
is long. It's very long.
I always think because we're not in that, trumpets aren't in that, so it's always like before the interval when you think, oh, I think that's about 8 minutes or something, but that piece is about 40 minutes long. And
Yeah, it's about.
you think it's going to finish after about 10 minutes, and then it just does not.
Well, he
It goes
basically
on and on.
regurgitates the same material again and again and again, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely bit of English pastoral.
But, it's nice, though.
It
yeah,
is
that's
nice,
right.
yeah. And what about the rest of this week? What's it held for you?
This week, not a lot really. I had a thing on Friday, filming a thing with a brass quintet
Oh, nice.
for the Oxford Philharmonic. It's going
Ah,
to go out online. but that was really fun. We did it in a church in Kilburn, and yeah, it was really fun playing we did some Christmas music.
Oh,
and,
excellent.
That was great. So yeah, felt great.
Ah.
I've had Feliz Navidad in my head.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We went away one year and I remember one of the boys mistaking that for Police Got My Dad. And so that's how it is for me. That's always what I sing to it now.
Got my dad.
It's perfect.
So good.
Police got my dad. Da, 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 da.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Have you had a good week? What have you
Well,
been
I've had
up
a bit of
to?
a strange end to the week. I was trotting along all right. And then I had a bit of a dash to hospital with my son on Friday. And yeah, I mean, he's fine now, thank goodness. But he had a bit of an asthma attack and it was grim. And we all had to have COVID tests as a result of this little trip. So we're in a very strange situation now where we're just waiting on results. Had two negative ones, I should say. Positive results for us, negative COVID.
Confusing that, isn't it?
It is very confusing. We're just waiting for Henry's one to come back. And so at the moment, it's really weird. I feel like Tom Hanks in the terminal. I'm just going a little bit, bit insane in here. So I'm really, really hoping his is negative. Otherwise, otherwise I'm going to have to go extreme Joe Wicks again. It's going to be like those early days. Very odd.
Yeah.
But having said that, because of this, I got super proactive yesterday and I did a recording that I've been putting off for ages and it's done and I sent it and it's good. So that was excellent. So maybe if I can be that
great.
proactive with this time, it could be okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. And he's is he in? He's not in hospital. He's at home.
No. He had. Luckily, it looked like for a second I thought we were going to have to do another overnighter, but we just had to. We were in there for hours and hours. But they sent us home, so that's good. And he's just relaxing. He's taking in a lot of Marvel films at the moment, and he's
that's the best medicine.
pumped full of drugs and watching Marvel. It's great.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
I did all the Marvel films last year.
they're good, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's your fave?
So good. Well, the last
Endgame.
one. Not Endgame. Yeah.
So
I think
good.
Technically, the last one is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It's far from home, but
I like that one too.
Endgame. That's the kind of that's amazing.
It's so
and
good.
Infinity War before that.
Yeah, they're
Black
brilliant.
Panther's amazing too. There's actually so many good ones.
I know. It's brilliant. I'm sort of investing in them now a bit as well. I'm doing them in a bit of a weird
I put
order.
them off for the whole time until after Endgame came out, and then my mate Chris Smith was always like, "Oh yeah, it's the new one's out. It's good. They're great. Yeah. I'm like, they're rubbish. They're rubbish. And I think I'd seen Avengers, the first Avengers, Assemble, and I just didn't get it at all. Didn't connect with any of the characters. So then I just wrote the whole thing off. But then I went back last year, watched from the very beginning, and it's very worth.
You did
doing.
it chronologically. That's excellent.
I did it. Yeah, I did it like release order.
Ah, well done.
So, because you can do it in kind of timeline order.
Yeah.
So you start. When do you start? Is it Captain America?
Yeah.
Because that's set in the Second World War. So you can start there. But then I think the way they told the story, there's a certain order to it.
Yeah.
I think you'd some of the big plot points you'd see too early because I think Captain Marvel's after that, which is like the sort of penultimate.
Yeah, so I haven't
before
seen
Endgame.
those. I haven't seen Captain Marvel. Haven't seen any of those ones. So that's next for me. Yeah.
Great. Well, they're great. I really like them. I'm sure I'll do them all again.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah. I did cried in Endgame, and I think I might have cried in Spider-Man, but maybe that was just hormones.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to think what happens in Spider-Man.
Nothing
that would
much.
make you cry.
It was the second one.
No.
I think it's the second one where I don't want to do any plot
the second
spoilers,
one.
after Endgame. So, yeah. It just, it dug up old wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Well, great. Well, guys, if you've got nothing to do today, check out Marvel. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Yes.
And,
so hopefully.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was going to say, hopefully we'll be back next week. As long as I'm not quarantined and we can get out, because we've got a magnificent guest lined up for this week. And I really hope we can get to them on Thursday. So if I'm free, we'll be good to go.
Great. I'm looking forward to
Me
that.
too.
Cool. Thank you for listening, people.
Thanks.
And as always, like and subscribe. Well, you're already subscribing to this, obviously.
Yeah.
But tell your friends.
Yeah. It's so exciting to see where everyone's listening. I went down that rabbit hole this week. If you're listening in Liechtenstein, thanks so much. That's totally brilliant. And I saw some people in Australia, somebody in Hollywood. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. When there's just like one person in a country,
Yeah.
it's kind of, I can kind of try and work out who they are. I think I know who they are sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, we know you're listening. It's like we are watching you.
It's a bit creepy.
It's a bit creepy. We know, but we will know if you stop listening.
I'd like to say that there's a good cluster of people listening in Biggleswade. So big up Biggleswade.
Yeah, big up Biggleswade. Well, cool. All right, well, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time on 3 in a Bar.
Bye.
Bye.
I thought you were going to sing the whole song then.
No.
On 3 in a bar.